Okay, 2 more minutes.
So I guess we already have a couple of people joining a little bit earlier than planned. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for taking the time today to join us for this discussion. Okay, I guess it's 2 o'clock for us here in Central Europe. And for our esteemed guest in Vikings, he's actually in the US today. So for him, it's a little bit earlier in the morning. So good afternoon to those of you who are with us in the Central European time zone. And of course, a very good morning to Tim and all of the others who are joining from the US. And of course, good evening or maybe even a little bit later for maybe some of you who are towards the east. I think we will give a little bit of a time to give a chance for everyone to join us for today's discussion. As you can see already in the screen, today we are going to be talking about a new tool for model quality and quality assurance, which is the IncQuery Validator. Of course, we've been featuring this tool in some other webinars earlier this year, but it's still new because we just are introducing it to the market. And for today, there is 4 of us presenting this webinar. Maybe we can start already with a bit of an introduction. So, of course, first and foremost, our guest today is Tim Wilkins. Of course, you may know him from various contexts. He's a member of the executive board of the German consulting company, OOSE or OZI. I don't know how to pronounce that. Maybe Tim, you can help me out with that one. And he's an MBSE coach, an active member of OMG and in COSI communities. And of course, he has done a lot of work in SysML V1 and also participating and doing a lot of contributions to the SysML V2 finalization task force as well. And of course, Tim has been known as a coach and an advisor to many different companies in various domains, supporting them with the introduction of MBSE. And of course, those of you who like to read books about SysML and methodologies, you may also know him as an author of many successful books, including Systems Engineering with SysML, Model-Based System Architecture, and of course, maybe the most well-known one is the MBSE methodology, SysMod, the Systems Modeling Toolbox. And maybe one final note on Tim. He's a co-host of the MBSE podcast, and I was very honored to be featured on that podcast a while ago. I think it was a year ago or a little bit even longer. So he's joining us today for the discussion, and we are honored to welcome him as a guest.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Okay, my colleagues are also here. They will be doing most of the presentation. So Balázs Grill, he will be doing the demos. He's our team lead of the engineering team that is responsible for developing this product. So he is very well knowledgeable in the technical details. And my colleague Bence Galambos, our business development engineer, will be doing the majority of the presentation. And myself, I'm István Rath, and the CEO of the IncQuery Group. and basically we are the ones providing this technology today. Okay, so that's it for the introduction part. And before we get into the presentation, I just wanted to spend a little bit of time asking a couple of introductory questions to Tim. The topic of today's presentation is obviously model quality and quality assurance. And of course, Tim, being such a knowledgeable person in various domains, knowing companies and how they struggle with MBSE, I wonder, and that is my first question to you, Tim, also. So what do you think is the significance of quality assurance in modeling and MBSE in particular?
Well, quality is, I think that's a big challenge in MBSE because, well, languages like SysML v1, they're only semi-formal. Tools implement them differently, unfortunately. And the users also build their models very differently. And so models are executed differently if you do simulations by the tools, and they are also differently interpreted by the users. So, and but in addition, SysML is a complex language, so which can easily lead to incorrect usage of the model elements, and tools also allow the incorrect uses, or some tools allow that. So this will happen in projects. And yeah, this in summary leads in many projects to, I would say, to bad quality of the model. So the diagrams often looks good, but the model, so the real model behind the diagrams is not in a very good shape.
Yeah, and what's the impact of that then? So what happens as a result of this?
Well, if we have a lack of quality in the models, in a bad case, we finally have errors in our products. And well, we all know this can be very, very expensive, depending on the error. And the poor quality of a model can also have this copycat effect, similar to this broken window syndrome from urban development, which says if there's a broken window in an area, that can lead to further destruction due to the declining of appreciation. And if we experience poor quality in the model, it can happen that we also make not much effort and deliver poor quality as well. And then we have this downward spiral. And another effect can be, if the models are in a bad quality, that they get a bad reputation in the project, in the sense of, well, what's in the model isn't true at all. And as a result, the model loses importance and, of course, then usefulness in the project. And projects stop using models and switch back to their old document-based style.
Yes, that's exactly what we don't want, right? As MBSE guys who think it's very important, to help the proliferation of MBSE and for organizations to be successful in their adoption journey, and of course take the maximum value out of all of these technologies. So for today, our goal is to show you how this can be helped with the technology that we are introducing today, namely this product. So for now, I hand over to Bence. Please go ahead and start presentation.
Thank you, István. A small technical remark. Obviously, we are recording the webinar and we'll be sharing afterwards and make it available in public, and the slideshow as well. So both will be available, I think, to your convenience. So thanks again for the introduction and for the discussion, gentlemen. Just a little bit, a little start about our company. So our company IncQuery was founded 11 years ago. We are a former university spin-off from the Technical University of Budapest, Hungary, where the founders were members of the fault-tolerant systems research group. Currently, we are around 70 personnel, including almost 10 researchers, or maybe that's 9. So, and then over 60% of the staff being software engineers. We are based in Vienna, Austria, present in Denver, Colorado, and with an engineering center in Budapest, Hungary. We are, in general, a services-based company with 11 years of experience, mainly in the field of model-based systems engineering and digital engineering. Our intention is to provide products and services for our partners that supports them to be more and more efficient. I'm jumping to the next slide, and here I can tell you that we are present and active in multiple industries. And you can hear some of our dominant projects from the last 12 months that we conducted with key industry players. Of course, we are the most proud of among all of them is the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, where we help humanity to get to Mars and even beyond. So here is our vision on the next slide. As in general, our vision is to improve the world of digital engineering. The usual way to describe the engineering thread is often abstracted as a letter V, with boxes and arrows. Boxes represent the tools, and the arrows represent the information flow. Most of the stakeholders discuss about boxes, but not the arrows. Actually, arrows are our key domain. Our products facilitate the process on how to move data efficiently in a scalable way between these boxes, and usually what are representing engineering tools. So we want to reach a point where this data transformation is meaningful and efficient. What we want is for our customers to eradicate the copy-paste type of works for their most expensive engineers. In order to do so, we consider 3 use cases of digital engineering. First is automated quality gates, which is about the introduction of quality management methods for model-based systems engineering. These methods have been there in software engineering for a long time. The goal is to leave manual or ad hoc type of approaches, and instead have a standardized, automated workflow of quality management implemented. And second, there is handover automation. It's about how to digitalize document-based processes, eliminate manual steps and error-prone data reentry, and referring back to the document-based communication that you guys previously discussed. And then lastly, there is digital thread analytics, which exists in a digital engineering and already operating in digital engineering environment, where one may utilize and reuse engineering data. For instance, product line engineering, consistency management are the main focus. Many organizations are having departments working asynchronous ways, and designs may not fulfill the business requirements. So what we're going to do is and this is what we're going to do and focus as next in our webinar. And what you're going to hear about is IncQuery contribution to this automated quality gates of the digital engineering thread. What we would like to show is how to guarantee consistency through model validation and on a much wider scale, modern governance. But to get there, first we need to understand what is model quality. So let's look what is it. How do we compose it? According to IncQuery, it consists of 3 pillars. First is how free is the modeling work from basic errors. Excuse me. In this pillar, a missing property value can be an example. Then second, so how does a systems engineer follow the standards? Is there any either standard or profile conformance present? And then third is there is the methodology conformance, which within one organization, there must be a universal understanding of the meaning of the model. So these 3. And these 3 brings also the issues to us with poor model quality. So now let's look at what can be the sources of poor model quality. First level is the missing proficiency basically of the users in modeling, basically the lack of expertise. Then as a second level, there are invisible errors made, and the tool is not pointing out these errors. And this is highly valid in our case when we talk about Enterprise Architect, because you will see in one of our examples that the EA actually cannot capture the error. And the third one is basically the third source of issues is readiness, or what we can call as like an awareness around the progress. How much work is missing from being ready, being complete in the project. And to put it into one kind of solution, and what we do in this product that you're going to see, the IncQuery Validator, how do we improve this overall quality? So first of all, the validator, excuse me, is making all errors visible. There are no invisible errors remain like this, because if you have this, it may lead to expensive fixes at later stages. Then also the validator is supporting the capability to decide between ignoring errors and correcting errors. You lose focus, you lose priorities and timing for quality assurance as a whole. And then lastly, what validator does is helps to visualize the backlog or the technical debt. One will know, or the organization will know, how far we are from the desired ending. If you cannot decide when and how to move on to the next stage, you are in big trouble. So the overall message here is that we want to stop design errors from invisible accumulation and propagation over the MBSE, the entire MBSE work. Because as a result, you may end up with quality gaps within the projects where you can find, let's say, incorrect profile applications, missing attribute values, non-standard compliant models, design errors or anti-patterns, or if these accumulate over time, then you can have major productivity hindrance, totally missing the deadlines, and then running over with your costs. First, so how do we approach this? We approach in a two ways. We're gonna aim first for authoring success of the system engineer. We're gonna make the errors visible and enable and show them and how to fix these locally. So we are in the system design phase, and what we would like to see is the issues in a single project, in a single model. It's done by, and it's activated or applied for a sole systems engineer. So let's see the following example first on a slide, but then later on you will see it in Balázs's demos just in a bit. So this is already in Enterprise Architect. A conditional edge, it needs a condition because it's coming from a choice element. So there are two branches from this choice. You cannot leave a blank branch with no condition, because if there is no listed condition, the whole element becomes invalid. And this is, just to refer back, this is a methodology type of error that stems from this work in progress state. So we are working, but something is missing here. At this point, one may ask, and then we apply the validator to find this and point out this error. And one may ask, what is this IncQuery Validator is checking quality against? And the answer is, you will hear more on this today, but the short answer is that these are particular rule set libraries. And the rule set in this case is the SAIC Digital Engineering Validation Tool. It is a very well-known rule set in the MBSE world and supporting tool for a well-established methodology. What is really important that if you apply if you apply the Enterprise Architect own capabilities or features of finding errors, this error won't be caught. So why I'm pointing this? Because this error goes totally unnoticed. And yet there are still some of these quality management related built-in tools in Enterprise Architect. However, these features were designed to ensure authoring success and may free up users from fundamental errors, but they are not pointing out, they are not suggesting a solution, they are not pointing where is the error, where was the error made. And as a result, and plus they are very, very slow, these features are rarely used. So what we want to do is, as a response from IncQuery to address this model quality matters, we brought to the market this product that this webinar is about, the IncQuery Validator for Enterprise Architect. This is a new quality assurance product for UML and SysML to address all the quality challenges. So first is the first goal, I now repeat myself here, but we are helping systems engineers to assess their key quality related metrics. And this is what you're going to see in Balázs's next demo. So over to you, Balázs.
Thank you, Bence. So when we are assuming or stepping into the shoes of a system engineer and who is working on a particular system model, the most important feature he expects from validation is a kind of immediate feedback. And for that purpose, we integrated so-called validation results view into Enterprise Architect, which provides a way of visualizing and showing, querying the actual results of a validation execution. For example, with this view, there are several aspects of as actual the particular findings, which is represented here. The rules are grouped by category, and all of them are identifiable by a name, and they have some kind of description about what is going wrong there in the model. So at this point, I'm only interested in the fatal errors here and in this particular issue here, which is the same example as Bence has shown that. So as you could see, I double-clicked in the validation results view. The so-called navigation feature has moved the selection to the particular or the affected elements of the issue. This way, I can easily find the problematic part of the model and try to find a solution based on the message. If I don't understand why is this a problem, or in order to fix the issue, I need to understand what is actually and why is this a problem, I can navigate to the browser for a detailed documentation of the issue, which describes in detail that what is the actual problem, why is a problem, and how can it be solved easily. So going back, at this point, it's quite obvious, but in this case, it's quite obvious when a transition is coming from a choice element, it needs to have a guard condition in order for it to make any sense. So let's just write in the correct guard expression. In this case, lin cycle should be less than 3 days ago. And for us to get the feedback of whether we managed to fix the issue, then let's see whether after revalidation it still persists. Yes.
So,
no.
so the reason why I find this documentation very valuable that Balázs was just showing to us before is that in my experience and what I hear from systems engineers very often is that even if there is an error message that they see in a tool, they don't necessarily know why the error message is there, right? What's the problem that the tool is trying to tell me here? And especially, how do I get rid of it, right? So this is a key part that we try to address here, to make a high quality and concise but illustrated documentation that is easily accessible from within the add-in itself, as you could see with just a single click, that helps you, make sense of what's going on. I wonder, Tim, whether you had similar experiences with your customers as well in this area.
Yeah, exactly. Because the language is complex, and so very often they don't understand why it's wrong, and some tools says nothing, or they provide a cryptic error message that the people do not understand. So it's very good to explain by example what's wrong here.
Sorry, Balázs, we didn't want to interrupt you.
Okay, thank you. In the meantime, the execution has finished, and we can see that there is one less error present here, so the user can proceed to fix the remaining. But I believe it's time to get back to Bence.
Thank you. Let me check. And here we are. So thanks, Balázs, for the demo. And now we are moving to the second stage. So we are done with one sole systems engineers. But here we're gonna explore model governance. So in the second stage, there are multiple users, and we would like to have consistency from multiple aspects, methodology-wise, style-wise, and quality-wise. All enterprise architect users and their works, so independently of the project and the organization, must have, or in this scenario, like should have the same requirements and rules. So all these solutions would appear on a full organizational scale, and this is basically what we call modern governance. So the general goal here is helping downstream stakeholders who consume the modeling outputs, quality insurance experts, software architects, and so on. This is basically the key to achieve consistency across several disciplines. For instance, if I make or maintain electrical design, based on system model architecture, it is important that all artifacts, documents that I base my work on is compliant or are compliant with my quality requirements. This is model governance and the compulsory check of rules continuously. This established quality gate would not allow a process to continue until a green light or a pass or a go is given. So modern governance technically enables to measure the contribution to compliance. And so here we go. We are coming to the governance example and bringing in team specialty, the sysmod methodology. So as part of our latest release, our tool IncQuery Validator basically is realizing a library of rules derived from the sysmod methodology. And we're going to talk about an example where there is a danger of one particular requirement is not realized by any function. So within the model, there must be full traceability between the layers. And these traceability links are very essential for actually safety critical standards such as the ASPICE, such as the ISO 26262 or the IEC 61508. Where this existence of these links is a must, and they must be demonstrated and showed and documented at ease, basically, for the users. And there comes the second demo, where, as I said, there will be a collaborative environment, like a full team working with Git in this case, but it can be Pro Cloud servers, it can be anything else. And then we add an automation pipeline where the quality assurance engineer is tracking and maintaining this quality and his quality metrics over multiple projects. So multiple collaborators, fully automatized, multiple projects, and what is common is identical rules for everybody here. And the second demo is up. Please, Balázs, show is yours.
Thank you. So in this scenario, we are assuming a group of system engineers collaborating on a single model. And for that collaboration, they are using some kind of version control system. And in our case, it's Git. It's not quite required to use Git or any other particular system. You can as well use a collaborator or some kind of other collaboration system. And since the system engineers are not just writing the model or creating the model for themselves, there are other engineering groups in any particular project which wish to use the system model as input for other engineering processes or the next development phase. And for them, it's quite important to be sure that the version they are using or they are start using for a specific phase is up to the task, so it reaches the required model quality. And for that reason, as a validation results can be considered the input for some kind of validation criteria. And in this case, since this model has some errors, at least one error, then it doesn't match the required validation criteria. So this is a result which cannot be used for, this is a release, model release, which cannot be used by the other engineering group. For example,
if you so just maybe just let me just interrupt here for a very short while. So if you remember what we've been showing a little bit earlier in the presentation, there was this notion of this automated quality gate. And what we mean by an automated quality gate is exactly what Balázs is describing here. It's basically a step in your engineering process which says, if your work, the model in this case, does not pass certain quality criterion, you're not really allowed to move along in the engineering process. I cannot give this model yet to a downstream stakeholder, to an electrical engineer or a simulation expert or whoever is consuming the model. Why? Because there are errors. And this is related again to the same basic principle that we've been mentioning before, which is to stop the errors from propagating, especially invisibly, because that's the key to achieving a quality standard. And this is something that can be automated with the solution that is being demonstrated here. Back to you, Balázs.
Thank you, Sam. And for that to demonstrate that it can be automated, I'm just triggering a new execution for this by creating a release. Which called the second patch of this release, and is based on a fix from a system engineer. So it takes at least 2 minutes, but while we wait, let's have a look at what is the report which is going to be attached here. So the first and most important part for quality assurance is that we have an overview, a quality score is attached to the overall model, which provides an on-spot insight of what detail the manager needs to look into into this report. The next part provides an overview about the actual severity metrics of the overall model, and based on all of the rules provided by the selected validation suite. And then we have a list of rules which has actual findings in the model, and then the details of the specific findings are also detailed here, also listed here, ordered by severity. So, and the same as the integrated results view in the Enterprise Architect, we provide a link for the same documentation, the same level of documentation as we have seen with SCIC. So we have the same style and same detailed documentation for all our validation suite. And also another feature is that while the quality assurance manager usually doesn't need to navigate into the model and open the model in VA with this kind of report, if needed, he can do that actually. So if he clicks on this link, which says Open Enterprise Architect, then the Enterprise Architect is brought up into view and navigated to the affected model element. Let's see whether we already have the results of the validation. Right. Yes. So you can see that the validation has been finished, and now with the fix provided by one of the engineers, the model has passed the validation criteria, which means that it passed the quality gate and can be used by the downstream stakeholders. Furthermore, when we are talking about handover to another group of engineers working with this model, and also at the end of the whole development process, the effects of this model will be propagated into the end product as well. It's absolutely necessary, and in some cases, for example, for ISO 62662, for some functional safety, it is absolutely essential to be able to verify that this kind of quality gate is executed and these artifacts has passed, and at the end of the product line, and at every immediate artifact for this kind of report will need to be attached to these artifacts, and will need to be part of every release. And this kind of automated pipeline, which automates the whole quality gate functionality, already collects together along with the model itself this kind of verification documents in HTML and in machine processable forms.
So just to recap, maybe from my perspective, let's just assume that I is the quality assurance stakeholder in this whole process. So what Balázs has shown us is that first and foremost, in order to interact with the quality assurance aspect of the process, I don't really need to open up Enterprise Architect at all, right? So what Balázs was doing while he was doing my job was just to interact with GitHub in this particular case, but we call this the automation pipeline, right? He triggered the execution of the generation of the report. And of course, my primary interface in terms of the user interface and the interpreting the quality results is this file that he has shown us. It's a standalone file, so I can open it in my browser. I can put it into a documentation system. I can even print it if I want to do that. But of course, I can even post it on Confluence, for example. This file is basically a compact representation of the overall status of the work. Can you go back to the report, please, Balázs, for just 1 second? And for me, personally, my favorite is what is shown on the top, this quality score, right? That's actually a score that is on the range of the school marks that we all know from the US, from A to E. And if I just want to take a very high level look at what's going on, I see that there's a C here, which means it's not good, but not terrible. So maybe there is still something to be done, but it's not absolutely problematic. And if I want to then take a deeper look into this, then I scroll a little bit further down and take a look at what's going on. And I see that there are findings here, there are errors and warnings. And if I want to take a deeper look into what these specifically are, then I could just read this or navigate to the documentation. Or if I have Enterprise Architect installed, I can even navigate to that tool directly from within this report. And this report is part of the release process. So it lives as an attachment on the pipeline attached to the particular release or draft release, but I can also use it in any other documentation system. The basic message here is that by building such an infrastructure, and the infrastructure itself can be easily adapted to whatever is in your organization, whether you're using Git or Other means of collaboration works pretty much the same. So by building such an infrastructure, I can move from just doing the quality assurance within the tool, which is already in itself quite important, to doing this within the team or within across teams and across several different projects. And I can configure the system to apply the same set of rules to everyone's work. And I can assess and even compare the work of the teams with respect to each other in terms of the quality issues that they produce or the quality results and metrics that they achieve, which is very important because it gives me a sense as a stakeholder in the organization whether things are going in the good or the bad direction in terms of the work. What do you think of this, Tim? I'm really curious. What's your opinion?
Well, I totally agree. It's a very convenient way to show the quality. In particular, what you mentioned at the beginning, that it's not necessary to open the model and to dive into the details. You can just open this report and see everything which is necessary. And if you're in the role of a quality manager, project manager, or whatever, then you have no interest in opening the model. Sometimes you even have not the license on your computer to open the model, and you can just do it here. So it's really good. And you have both, no? Of course, the engineers can see the errors in the model, and you have the report here, and the gates. No, but if you publish the model, that a model with a bad quality cannot be published and hand over to another team.
Mm-hmm. Okay, back to you guys.
Thank you, István. So yes, tools are interfaces to be interact with the data, and in this case, data is the model. And with this setup, there are probably more than one. There are many tools for the different aspects of the data. And as you said, Enterprise Architect is the main interface to interact with the for editing the model and make changes to the model, but for version controlling and the quality aspects of the model is what we are providing this interface for. Okay, so that's all for this demo, and I give back the mic to Bence.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you for the demo and the short discussion. And here, yeah, maybe it would have been like even better to show this one, but this is kind of a recap, like a review, a summary of what is the planned adoption journey over applying IncQuery Validator. So on the demo one, you've seen the systems engineer on its own environment gaining his own benefits, like through model validation, like in this case as an add-on or add-in in EA. Getting to the right-hand side of the onion, which is model governance, like a bigger organization collaborating environment, not just direct EA users, but also people like responsible for quality. And what you see here is some tools as an example, but they are really are replaceable with Jenkins, TeamCity, and so on. We are totally agnostic in this sense, so our tool is capable of working with different other tools. So, and what is this onion is missing is the power user. So if there are systems engineers or others who want to go over under the hood, basically, and then we call them power users, they want to create their own rule sets because there are no two similar organizations and no two similar processes. So it's a question that we get often, that how we can create our own rules. So this is basically addressed in our case with an Eclipse-based SDK editor for software engineering, for software engineers, basically, because on top of the built-in rule sets that you have heard already today, the sysmod, the sysaml, and the SAIC rule set, we offer this package that that basically enables the user or the power user with software engineering skills to establish its own rule sets. We can show we did not prepare this time with this because we felt that it could be a bit too much for today, but we are happy to show this anytime if someone is interested. And then we are coming to our end before we get to wrap up and questions if there is any. So here is a short summary, and I don't want to read up the features here, what you can see here, or you can read the article on the Sparx community website. But there are two goals of the IncQuery validators. One is to helping systems engineers to assess their own key quality metrics. And then the second is to helping also the entire organization and the entire collaborative organization, including downstream stakeholders, systems engineering, and quality management, quality assurance, to achieve a consistency across every single discipline. So thank you very much. If someone would like to have, we provide also evaluation licenses, easy to use, easy to install, and available quickly. And I was just wondering at this point if we have any questions.
Thanks again.
I can also give rights to participants if they want to speak.
Yes, I wonder if there's any questions either coming through the chat in the Zoom or the Q&A section. At this point, I think we answered already one. The question was, are we going to make the material available after the presentation? Yes, of course, that's obviously the case. Okay, since we still have a little bit of a time, I think we can ask Balázs to give us a little bit of a glimpse into this SDK environment. Maybe that would be of interest to some of you, how that looks like. Because it's obviously a need, of course, maybe from the power user side, to be able to add your own custom rules to the system, not just rely on the ones that we provide as a component out of the box. So in order to make this possible, we also package a special tool alongside the validator, this SDK, which is based on the Eclipse platform. And maybe Balázs can provide us just a very brief technical glimpse into how one of these sysmod or SAIC rules are built up using this SDK.
Certainly. So as it has been mentioned, basically rule development is still software development task. And for that, basically, even for us to be able to work with this efficiently, we need a so-called integrated development environment for that, which allows us to write and test this kind of rule sets which are based on queries on the model in a single integrated environment. And for that to work, we also need to be able to load the data into this, which is quite possible. We with this presentation is a little bit different from the Enterprise Architect's owned the presentation, but this is an Enterprise Architect model, which is then loaded into this environment, and we can load it into the query engine, and let's see what kind of queries we have here. So this is the same query we have, which was presented by Bence before. Basically, we would like to find the elements which are requirements but are not satisfied. And by not satisfied, we mean that there are no incoming dependency type links which has marked as satisfy stereotype. And we have the kind of weighted satisfy defined by sysmod, which are a little bit more complicated than that. But let's stay with this.
So while Balázs is showing us this, maybe I will just give you a little bit of a context as to how this would normally be done in the enterprise architect world, because of course there are other approaches known from the past, how people would address this issue, how to run rules against the model. And the way some of the more advanced users of enterprise architect do this is that they construct SQL queries that is run against the database which is behind enterprise architect. So all of the models which are in enterprise architect have a relational representation, and you can run SQL queries on that data to compute more or less something similar. For example, in the case, enumerate all those I don't know, requirements which do not have this incoming reference from that is typed according to the satisfaction property. We go a different approach here. So we use Eclipse and the Eclipse modeling infrastructure, which is a well-known open source environment in this particular case. As you can see in this SDK, the enterprise architect model has an EMF, so an Eclipse modeling framework representation. Actually, Balázs can open that down in that editor. This is how it looks. This is how that looks like. So this is how the model is represented here. It's not a SQL relational something, but it's an object structure. So it's according to this Eclipse modeling framework. Maybe some of you are familiar to that. And once we have this Eclipse modeling representation of the enterprise architect model, then we can use the rest of the infrastructure, so the rest of the open source libraries which are part of this SDK in order to run queries and to turn these queries into validation rules. And in particular, the open source technology that is used is also part of the Eclipse ecosystem. It's called Eclipse Validator. It's an open source library that's under the hood of the validator itself. It's part of the core engine of the validator. And we are using this library to create queries and rules that can be then executed directly against this tree structure here and then plugged into the validator as an implementation of the rule. So this is how we create rule libraries as well. And this is what power users can also use, or we can help your power users in your organization to learn how to do this and how to package these rules that can be deployed in a validator deployment. Or we can even develop a custom rule library if that is what you need. Okay, I think with this, we answered the question that was asked a lot of times before also, and we got a lot of requests to show a little bit what is going on under the hood here. I think we can wrap up the webinar for today. Thanks again for the presenters and also team for joining us today. I think it was a real pleasure. I hope you liked what you see. And I would wonder what your takeaway of all of this is, whether you would like, for example, yourself to try and use this tool in your own work. I'm really curious.
Yeah, well, first, thank you for inviting me. And yeah, I'm very excited about the tool like the validator here and all the other tools you provide to the MBSE community. That's real MBSE and not just drawing what you do. Yeah, I already tried, of course, the validator myself. And yeah, I like it. It's very easy to use. And of course, I also looked for an option to customize it. The SysMod rules or in general methodologies are also only a toolbox. They typically do not execute a methodology like SysMod, OSIM, or other exactly as they are described. You customize them, and so you must also customize the validator. And customizing the validator well, sounds probably easy on the first view, but it isn't, because there's a complex data structure, as we saw here, behind the scenes. So it's not easy to provide a good UI for that. And you need people that are experts to use this. You call them power users. And I can strongly recommend that each project has at least a few experts in their organizations who are able to do that and understand the meta models. So, so I have not tried the customization yet, so I'm looking forward to do that as well. So yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for the great tools.
Okay. Thanks again. And to all of you who have attended, thank you very much. We really appreciate your interest. And if there's anything we can answer, just feel free to follow up, write us, reach out to us. We can very easily provide you with an evaluation license if you want to try, and also with some support to help you along the way. So we are looking forward to hearing from all of you. Thanks again, and have a nice day, or morning, or evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.